What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today's topic, I'm going to be discussing passports, bros, hoes, and foes. Why are more and more men these days getting their passports and going overseas to find a suitable wife or a long-term partner? I think one reason is because men are fed up with the modern day women here in the US. Now, this is something that's been going on for a while now, so a lot of people think that this is some new stuff, but it really isn't. Men have been going overseas for centuries to find a compatible partner. It's really the oldest movement. It's not new at all. Actually, there wasn't really a name for it back then. It was just men going overseas to find something different. And men of all races have been going overseas for decades. Military men in particular have been going overseas for decades to find love, happiness, a wife, or a long-term girlfriend, and bringing them back here to the States. Now, my mother and all her sisters are married to foreign men, specifically men in the military. So this is not new stuff. Okay, this is nothing new, and that's how I was able to come here to the States. My dad, and including two of his brothers, are married to foreign women, and so this is not a new movement or a new idea at all. It evolved to what is now called the passport bros, but is literally one of the oldest movements. That, and along with the expat movement and those guys. And it's not just black guys doing it, it's all men of race are doing it. It's getting more notice now because of mainstream media, and women here in the States are starting to realize that men are losing interest in them, and they're making videos about passport bros. Listen, most passport bros are not losers like they want you to believe. These are not men who can't get women or can't get laid in their own country. They're just men who are tired of the American woman in general. They just want something different. That's all. Sure, we've gotten tired of the same old I don't need a man attitude coming from women, but that has never stopped some of us from messing around with them before. But now it's even worse with the whole Me Too movement that happened years back, to now being labeled as a jerk or a creep just for approaching, trying to shoot their shot. Like men are getting accused of harassing women just for trying to approach. And I see these videos on TikTok where men are publicly being humiliated, which is the cost of men not feeling safe to approach women anymore. And most women these days, they have become too unapproachable anyway. They're like being on their phones, having headphones on while they're out in public or in groups. So approaching is not the norm anymore. Like, this is not pre-internet. Social norm has changed, and what used to be the only way to meet women was to approach has now become creepy to a lot of women. It just doesn't feel safe for both parties these days. The environment has become sick and toxic, and now women are making videos and getting upset because they're no longer getting approached or getting the attention they once used to get from men in this country. Now men are packing up, getting their passports, and boarding on planes, leaving behind a world they once used to recognize. This is what's happening now. But there is a movement, a wave so strong that it can no longer be ignored by the media. It's a mass exodus out of the matrix. If more women were traveling abroad for men, which some do, it wouldn't be exciting enough to make the news. Nobody would care. Nobody cares when a group of women have girl trips to go off to Vegas, Cancun, or Jamaica, or any places in the world to have their fun, and we know a lot of them go there to get piped down. Alright, that's just what it is. Like like they always say in Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But nobody cares. Nobody cares if they start calling themselves passport sis. Nobody would care. But because it's men doing it, it's getting a lot of attention. There's a documentary I seen years back. It's called Tourism, When Women Are Looking for Love. There's a link below if you're interested in watching this video. But it's a documentary about European women coming to Dominican Republic in search of love. You see, when a man does it, it's called sex tourism, or currently known as passport bros. But when women do it, apparently, it's called looking for love. And that still goes on today. That still exists to this day. Like, I've been to DR. I've been there recently. I see snow bunnies on the beach. I know exactly what they're doing. But it's not a thing when they do it, you know. And I've talked to a Dominican man on the beach who claimed to have 5 different white girlfriends from other countries that come down at least once a year to visit him. So it's not a thing when women do it, especially women from Europe who comes to DR to mess around with an 18-year-old Dominican boy. But when a man does it, it's diabolical. Like, really, like, women do it too. So let me speak on this culture, right? The culture in America is very different now. To many people, it's a hookup culture, and women are winning in the hookup department. And women benefit from it way more than men do. I know plenty of women that admit going out on multiple dates with men, hooking up for sex, or just using them to get a free meal on the weekend. These things happen all the time. And I know some of these women personally. And so it's a very different culture today. It's a very different mindset. More people today are just putting off marriages or wanting to have kids anymore. Men and women both know that dating in this country sucks. It's been that way for years now. So if you're lucky to be married, I encourage you to stay married, because it's a totally different world than it was 20, 30 years ago. It's not a great time to be single and dating in today's dating market. Times have changed, and women in particular are not going back to how things were or used to be. The majority of the women today, they like being independent. They like having their own shit, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But don't complain if you're too strong, too independent, and can't be told what to do. And the majority of the men are looking the other way and going elsewhere now. Like, this is the worst time in history to be dating. It's not like how it used to be, and everybody who dates knows this. And look, I'm not here to change things or change anybody's mind. I accept things for what it is now. And fellas are starting to realize this, and that's why men are exercising their options to get their passports and go overseas to deal with other women. I've talked to countless of men over the years that felt the same way. And some of these men I know happens to be tall, they're handsome, no diddy, good looking, hard working men that have trouble either dating or dealing with American women. And America is just not a good place to date anymore. It has become too toxic. Now, are all women like this in America? No. But there's enough of them where apparently a movement like the Passport Bros are realizing that traveling abroad to find love, companionship, a wife or a long-term partner in other countries may be the better move. Many are exiting out of the state, exiting out of the matrix, getting on that plane and saying goodbye to American women. Listen, man, the divorce rate in this country is at an all-time high, along with promiscuity. This is not a coincidence, people. I mean, call me a conspiracy kook, whatever, but I've noticed this years ago when I started seeing ads for AshleyMadison.com. It's a website promoting infidelity for both men and women. They were promoting it on TV like it was cool or something. Listen, I'm old enough to know what it was like before social media and dating apps. It was a very different world back then, man. And women didn't have access to a lot of men prior to the internet, prior social media, prior dating apps. That just wasn't available. If you go back to the 1950s, the only men that those women had access to were probably like the milkman, mailman, or the garbage man. Like, they didn't have a lot of options. They didn't have all that. But now women have unlimited access to men all over the globe with unlimited attention. How can men ever compete with that? You can also blame Hollywood for a lot of this shit. Making movies that promote infidelity with the use of humor. Movies like Norbit, Me, Myself, and Irene, Hall Pass, and countless movies that reference infidelity like Faithless, Unfaithful, which Hollywood movies make all the time to program into our minds to accept these things and behaviors as the norm. Music has done the same thing. Like it's just too many to list, all playing a role in a plan to destroy and further divide the American family, whether you believe that to be true or not. And so, how is it better finding women overseas? First off, I want to say this. Women are going to be women everywhere, whether it's here in the States or in Thailand, Japan, Colombia, wherever. Women are going to be women. Fundamentally, they all want someone or a system set up to provide for them, take care of them and their offsprings, and give them the protection they need. This is all women. They're all the same everywhere, but here's the difference. Here in the US and maybe other parts of the Western countries, the system is their true husband. It's the harsh reality, people, but that just is what it is. Some countries don't have welfare system or child support system set in place. There's no system that caters to these women like it is here in the United States. So how can men in this country ever feel like they're truly needed by their women when they can just get about everything they want and need from the system? And men can't compete with that, man. It's to me, it's a divide and conquer tactic. It's a division. It's all an experiment, people. It was all a plan. Nothing is set up by coincidence. It just takes time for all these things to develop and come into play, Anytime a third party gets involved in your affairs or marriage, it usually has something to do with extracting money from you or a way to divide the family unit up. I'm sure there was a time in American history where women needed a man around to provide, care, and protect the family. All that is gone now. Now they don't need us like they once used to, and you can see all this stuff for yourself online, man. It's all over TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It's everywhere. So why would they need us now? For what? When they have the court system on their side. The court system is their true daddy. Maybe I'll save that topic for another day, man. But you get the picture, right? Men want to feel like they're needed, and most of us feel like our women just don't need us any longer. I remember listening to a comedian by the name of Patrice O'Neal years ago, 2006, maybe 2008, I believe. R.I.P. to my man Patrice O'Neal, by the way. Definitely one of the greatest comedians to ever live. He had a relationship advice show on XM Radio where he talked about men having problems in their relationships with their women, way before the red pill community came into existence. He talks about traveling to Brazil to hook up with women and how their culture was very different from the US, and thus began his journey down the rabbit hole. I'll put the link at the bottom if anyone is interested, where he went on the Howard Stern show, and he talked about his trip to Brazil where he had his epiphany. And I never understood why he was always angry at his girlfriend until he broke it down on the Black Phillip show. But he certainly had a different philosophy at the time that I never heard of. So with the rise of the red pill community and the passport bros, More and more men are starting to realize just how bad it is here in the States. The 90s are long gone, relationships are a thing of the past, and situationships and polygamy is now becoming the new norm in this country, which has given more rise to many men getting their passports. And now women in the States are getting upset because a lot of men are leaving this country now, and they continue to complain about the men that are still here. I hear it all the time. I hear it too often. You know, men ain't this, men ain't that, where all the good men at. Well, they're getting their passport, man, and they're leaving women like you alone. There's a lot of good men out here, but the problem is they don't want a good man. Some of them don't know what a good man is. They all want the bad boys, the Chads, the Pookies, and Ray Rays. And most of the women are chasing after the 1%ers anyway. The one who drives the Lambo, lives in a nice house in Miami, over 6 feet tall, making over 6 figures with a six-pack, packing over 6 inches. Now, this don't apply to all women, but there's enough of them where to most men, it just feels discouraging. And I'll say it again, man, like I'm not here to change anything or change anybody's mind. I really don't care. And as a man, you should neither. So fellas, if you have a passport, celebrate that shit. Because you have options. If you know anything about sports, you know that in sports, particularly in team sports, you know that there are option plays you can call to try to win the game. Exercise that option play, my man. Learn to control your emotions, think logically, and execute the play. Have a clear strategy of how you're going to win over your opponent. Yeah, because you're going to have haters regardless. Women are going to hate on you for traveling abroad because you're no longer choosing them. And other men are going to hate on you and be jealous because you're traveling to other countries in pursuit of your own happiness when they're stuck, unhappy being in a relationship with their modern day woman. Let them be. I'm not convincing them at all to do anything. You know, whenever you see or hear negative things about passport bros on the news or in social media and they're doing some dumb shit overseas, it's usually the ignorant ones. Yes, the passport pookies and Ray Rays. And yes, there are ignorant people everywhere. Not all passport bros are doing some illegal or dumb shit. A lot of us are older gentlemen who are just venturing out. You know, we're pretty much chill. Like, we don't want no problems. A lot of us are just exercising our options, seeking out new adventures, opening new chapters in our lives, learning new cultures, and so on and so on. A lot of us are divorced men that don't want nothing to do really with American women now. Most of us just want to be on the island with some friends, drinking a beer and admiring beautiful women as they walk by, and not have to feel threatened by the Me Too movement or being looked at as creepy just for staring from the distance. There's nothing wrong with that. And yes, like anything else in life, you have ignorant people all over the world. There are plenty of immigrants that come into this country looking for honest living. They work hard and they're respectful. They just want a better life and be in a better position for them and their entire family. Nothing wrong with that, man. And of course, there are some dumb, illegal immigrants that come into this country to exploit the American system, give free housings, free food, free money, free everything, and not have to work for it, and then complain about the current situation when they are not being catered by the system. There's people like that in every part of the world, man. You get the picture. Ignorant people are everywhere, and yes, there are some ignorant passport bros out there doing the dumbest shit, but the majority of these men are just exercising their options while they're traveling abroad in peace. There are some ignorant passport pookies and Ray Rays, guys who do not know how to talk to women in general in any language. And these are the guys that's effing up the game, going abroad to different countries, being disrespectful and being ignorant. So I'm going to end this video and I say this. You can call me a passport bro, you can call me ignorant, you can call me a lame, you can call me a goof, a guy who can't get women in his own country. You can call me whatever, but what you can't call me is a fool for not exercising my options. But one thing I will not do, like many of the passport bros or men in general who are starting to realize and wake up, is take care of another woman along with her badass kids that she had by multiple men and expect me to save her. It's just a bad deal. It's a bad deal for any guys. It's also a bad deal for any guy to stay in a relationship with a woman who has a child claiming and yelling from the top of her lungs that is his child when the paternity test says otherwise. Most people have seen the Maury Povich show, right? The Maury Povich show have proven over and over again how treacherous some of these women can be. So these passport bros that some people complain about, they're not going anywhere. If anything, they're multiplying by the numbers. Love them, hate them, you won't be able to stop them. Just the same way the feminist movement came in decades ago and changed the game up. See, I've noticed the gender war between men and women in this country years ago. I've heard the complaints from both sides. The world has changed, we're not going back, and it will continue to evolve. Less people now in this country are interested in the concept of marriage, having kids, and having families. This is becoming the new norm and the new culture in America. This is just going to be a sad country full of miserable single people ending up living alone in their one-bedroom apartment, swiping away on their phones, struggling to make ends meet, all by design. So with all that being said, I salute anybody who's got a passport, men or women that's traveling abroad, wanting or yearning for something different. I just don't condone all the ignorant shit. That's all, you know. So that's it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. Do me a solid if you enjoyed this video, man. Give it a thumbs up, a like, subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, and drop a comment below and let me know what your thoughts are on this topic. Until next time, travel safe. See you guys on the next video. Peace.